Hello again, YouTube. I'm Darkest101, and welcome to another installment of Darkest101 Reviews. Well guys, given the surprisingly underwhelming amount of suggestions for my next review, I've had no choice but to continue on from my last review and move on to Sly 2, Band of Thieves. Yes folks, we're moving on straight on from where Sly Raccoon left off with Sly 2. Like the first game, Sly 2 was originally a PS2 game, but given the series' popularity, it was remastered and re-released on PSN as part of the Sly collection. And if it was easy to see why this was so for the first game, then it should be painfully obvious for the sequel. So guys, what am I rambling on for? Let's dive right into Sly 2, Band of Thieves. Like in the first game, Band of Thieves drops us right in the middle of a big heist. Compared to the previous game though, where the characters were introduced by crappy fading credits, this game introduces the main trio with bombastic music and their own title. Sly has broken into the Cairo Museum along with his two cohorts in the first game, Bentley the Turtle, the brains of their outfit, and Murray, the hippo, also known as the Brawn. So with Bentley and Murray's help, Sly manages to reach the museum exhibit that displays the clockwork parts. Wait, what? They're displaying the devastated mechanical remains of a murderous thief who is 3 times the size of any other inhabitant of this universe. You can tell we're in Egypt, can't you? Oh hey look, it's Carmelita. The entire furry community just got an erection. Anyway, Carmelita reveals that someone has already stolen the clockwork parts, and already suspects Sly of being the culprit. Her partner, however, Constable Neela, lets slip that the thieves were more likely the infamous Claw Gang. This prompts the two into a debate of who actually stole the parts, which gives Sly his window to escape. Sort of. We then get another reference to the original game, in that Carmelita cannot aim for shit. This is especially noticeable in the obligatory slow-mo. So yeah, once again, thanks to Carmelita's appalling aim, Sly slips into the back of the team van, which is just as flamboyant as it was in the last game. Seriously, how can no one find this guy if his van is more conspicuous than Nyan Cat? So yeah, we then get a recap about the first game, and of course Clockwork and the history of the Cooper clan. After that, we're introduced to the first member of the Claw Gang, Dimitri.
I had to call in a few favors to get the goods on the Claw Gang's local operator. Dimitri, a sort of underworld celebrity, equally at home in high-class art circles and shady back-alley crimes. He was once a passionate young art student who worked hard to develop his own visionary style. Unfortunately, the art world wasn't quite ready for his kinetic aesthetic. So he gave them what they wanted and started forging old masterpieces. His way of punishing those with bad taste. Dimitri now runs a nightclub on the west side. The thumping music, colorful light shows, and a hint of danger lure in chic young patrons from far and wide. And it's here, hidden somewhere, where we'll find the clockwork tail feathers. What Dimitri plans to do with the clockwork part is beyond me. But those plans end tonight.
Okay, so remember in my last review how I complained about how this game was repetitive in its level design? Well, Sly 2 blows its predecessor right out of the fucking water. I mean, each episode in the previous game could be completed faster you could snap your fingers, but this? It's fucking awesome! I mean, now you can play as characters other than Sly a whole lot more often, and the episodes are structured like an actual heist. Each episode is broken into 3 main sections: reconnaissance, setup, and heist. Each of these missions is a joy to complete. It's like Suckerbots is fucking prepping us to be criminals. So yeah, like we saw earlier, Dimitri's in possession of the clockwork tail feathers and is using them to print false money. Well, I will give the Claw Gang some credit. I mean, they actually use what they have, or rather what they have taken themselves, rather than letting it sit on their lap and wait for power to come to them. So the team set up the heist in order to steal the tail feathers. This includes bugging Dimitri's office, shutting off the security systems around Dimitri's nightclub. Oh, and Constable Neela drops in to give Sly the key to the nightclub, which Bentley then uses to demolish the disco ball. The heist is then executed, which goes off, remarkably, without a hitch. That is until Sly runs into Dimitri in the printing press room. Sly and Dimitri talk for a little bit, at least I think that's what Dimitri's doing.
Are you hearing what I beam to you? You think you have juice? Don't show me a little mind when talking about such big things. You think you can swing the bat? Show your bling and let me shine you.
He's high! That's the only explanation. He's either high or he's coming on to Sly. Sly, of course, has a similar reaction and inadvertently instigates the boss fight when he insults Dimitri's suit. But of course, Sly kicks his ass, steals the tail feathers, and slips away as Carmelita busts in and, just as promptly, busts Dimitri. After that, Sly and the gang move on to the next member of the Claw Gang, a tiger named Rajan.
Another clockwork part had surfaced in India, so the boys and I loaded up the van and zeroed in on our next target, a mysterious spice lord known as Rajan. A self-made man who grew up poor on the streets of Calcutta, he started his life of crime selling illegal spices in the black market, eventually growing his small outfit to a sizable operation, and earning himself a seat in the prestigious Claw Gang. He's since crowned himself Lord of the Hills, and while he goes to great lengths to convince others of his royalty, it's mostly to convince himself. True to form, he's holding a lavish ball in his newly purchased ancestral palace. The reason? To show off his latest acquisition, the clockwork wings. The symbol of my enemy. If you saw the wings silhouetted against the night sky, it was already too late for you, especially if your name was Cooper. Rajan believes displaying the wings will bring him prestige, and maybe they will, but they're also bringing me.
And once again, Recon set up heist. I know I'm making it sound as though it's really boring and just as repetitive as the first game, but it's really not. So they set up the heist, which involves an interesting section where Sly, in disguise, dances with Neela to get Carmelita's attention, which is essential for the heist later that evening. Wait. Hold on a second. You're telling me that he managed to gather all the necessary information, set up this elaborate heist, and execute it in the space of one evening? One fucking evening? Who trained these guys? Santa Claus? So Bentley blows up the bridge that links Rajan's palace to the guest houses to prevent the arrival of reinforcements. Because, you know, breaking, entering, assault and stealing aren't enough without adding wanton destruction to the list. Sly then asks Carmelita for a dance. Murray is then winched down from above as Sly and Carmelita cut a rug. The entire ballroom is transfixed with Sly and Carmelita's dance, and Murray steals the clockwork wings right from underneath everyone's noses. Really? They're all so transfixed by two people dancing that they don't notice a bright pink hippo being lowered from the ceiling and then rising again with a pair of huge metal wings. These people are morons and must have worse eyesight than Carmelita. And we've all seen her aim. However, Rajan notices the absence of the clockwork wings. About goddamn time. And Sly does a runner, thus allowing Carmelita to do her best Shatner impression.
What? How? Who could have... What? Cooper!
To quote the nostalgia critic, Spark! Murray escapes around the back of Rajan's palace with the wings under the cover of Bentley's RC chopper, which drops bombs on the heads of any unsuspecting guard. With the wings stolen and Carmelita making arrests, left, right and fucking centre, Rajan flees deep into the jungle, which will make Rajan our next target as well. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
It took some detective work, but the gang and I managed to track down where Rajan had gone into hiding. Somehow, he'd managed to transform a long-forgotten temple into the thriving center of his spice operation, and it's there where we'll find him. The jungle, too thick to drive through, forced us to walk the long distance to our target. We ran into a few problems along the way, but pushed on. For the temple was more than just Rajan's hideout. It was also home to the Clockwork Heart. A pump so strong and tireless, it could increase spice production tenfold. Good for Rajan, but awful for the rest of the world. Hope he's not counting on that heart too much, because tonight, it comes home with me.
So yeah, another setup in Rajan's Spice Temple. There's nothing particular I want to add to this, but I will say that they bug Rajan's office with a bug. I shit you not.
Let me get this straight. We're gonna bug Rajan's office with a bug?
You see? But yeah, Bentley mans a turret on a crumbling tower. Murray opens a stone elephant mouth, which allows Sly to walk in with the explosive BARREL! Fucking barrel! Sorry about that. So anyway, the explosives blow a hole in Rajan's pool, which drains it, thus luring Rajan out. Sly and Neela approach Rajan, but Neela leaves Sly and he ends up unconscious. So we have a breakaway from Sly tradition, as the villain gets his ass handed to him not by Sly, but by Murray. Neela, however, betrays Sly and Murray to Interpol, and frames Carmelita as their accomplice, thus leaving Bentley the last free member of the Cooper gang. So it's up to Bentley to introduce the next target. There's no Clockwork part on the line here, and our villainess is no member of the Claw gang. Or is she?
It took a sleepless week of data crunching, but I eventually tracked down the location of my friends, locked away in the mysterious towers of Prague. At the moment, they're the unwilling guests of Interpol's most renowned prison warden, the Contessa. While still a criminal psychology student, she entered into a whirlwind romance and married a wealthy aristocrat. Sadly, the union was short-lived, as the general suspiciously died a few weeks after the ceremony. The widowed Contessa put her education and newly acquired estate to work by opening a criminal rehabilitation center. Her pioneering use of hypnotherapy has produced some good results, and subsequently earned her a prominent position within Interpol. My friends are locked up somewhere in the clinic, and are slated for the Contessa's Good Samaritan brainwashing. If I don't bust them out soon, they'll be working a 9-to-5 job selling shoes, and I'll be out two best friends.
So Bentley plots the jailbreak and discovers in his reconnaissance that the Contessa is in fact a member of the Claw gang. What a shock! He then busts Sly out by launching a train at the Contessa's prison. Good thing that the Contessa was kind enough to let Sly have his cane in his imprisonment. Just let one of the world's greatest thieves have his greatest tool and pray he doesn't break out and hit you over the head with it. That is some good, solid planning. I wonder what she did with other equally infamous criminals. Maybe she let Mugshot have his guns for good behaviour. They plan the best way to break Murray out, which includes having him sent to solitary confinement. Bentley then assumes control of one of the Contessa's tanks and drives up to the prison, Sly crawling along underneath it. They break into the prison and find Murray in solitary. Murray, however, appears slightly deranged. I'm not surprised, the Contessa probably force-fed him steroids or something. Sly activates a series of hypnoboxes outside Murray's cell so that he'll become enraged and breaks his own way out. Wait, hold on. Did Murray just fucking roar? He did! Murray just fucking roared! Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but hippos don't roar! Sly lures Murray out to destroy the hypnoboxes to calm him down. They then go upstairs to fight the Contessa. However, she runs away like a little bitch and flies off in her blimp. So the Contessa gets away again, but the team is all back together and the Contessa's loyalty to the Claw Gang is revealed. However, there's trouble afoot.
Time for a little payback. The Contessa, having escaped us in the prison, is now hiding out in her castle estate. It's a well-fortified Gothic nightmare that would make any thief run in terror. Terrible or not, that's where we're headed. To sweeten the deal, we've learned that the Contessa, who until recently was a secret member of the Claw Gang, is in possession of the Clockwork Eyes. The Thievius Raccoonus describes the eyes stopping opponents dead in their tracks, transfixed in their gaze. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what an accomplished hypnotist could do with such powerful artifacts. News of the Contessa's corruption has spread to Interpol. Constable Neela, being closest to the case, was granted a cash allowance to hire an army of local mercenaries. It looks like we're walking into a full-scale war. But we have to act now, before things go from bad to worse.
So they know where she's hiding, they have the means to go in and get her, and they immediately go for full frontal assault. Who runs Interpol? George Bush? But the Contessa has more than the Clockwork Eyes. She has Inspector Fox and is brainwashing her to be on her side. Okay, really? They just have to strap Carmelita to a table? Come on, this is every furry's wet dream. Seriously, it's like something out of 50 Shades. Not that I would know any of the book's contents. So the teams start to hype up the conflict between the Contessa and Neela before Murray switches off the Contessa's defences. Bentley and Sly sneak into the Contessa's re-education tower and release Carmelita. It just so happens, however, that the Contessa was nice enough to have Carmelita's shot pistol right fucking next to her. Neela, however, comes in and steals one of the Clockwork Eyes. Sly chases after her and Bentley takes the other eye onto the Contessa's blimp. Carmelita shoots the blimp down, however, and takes the eye, as Neela gets caught in the Contessa's web, and Sly takes the eye back. The Contessa, however, steals that eye, and Murray takes the other eye back off Carmelita. These eyes change hands more than a... I can't think of a clever analogy, so here's a picture of a kitten. Enjoy. Sly then beats the crap out of the Contessa and takes the eye back off her. Last freaking time, I promise! So the Contessa's put away, Carmelita has to flee with Sly and the others, and Neela's promoted to captain. Whoop-de-friggin' do. So Sly and the others have beaten most of the Claw Gang and are now off to tackle with Jean Bisson.
Following the trail of spice shipments, we made our way up to Nunavut Bay, Canada, the secret hub of Jean Bisson's shipping empire. As a young man, he trekked across Canada to strike it rich during the gold rush of 1852. An avid prospector, he took some chances and ended up buried alive in an avalanche. Miraculously, the quick freeze kept him alive, and 120 years later, thanks to global warming, he thawed out. A product of his time, he dreams of taming the wild north, damming every river and chopping down all the trees, with progress delivered at the sharp end of an axe. Shipping spice for the Claw Gang proved a lucrative way to bankroll his one-man war against nature. And yet, I have to feel a little sorry for him. He's just a normal guy from the 1850s. Back in his day, he'd be a hero, but today, he's a villain. Either way, that man's got more than his fair share of the clockwork parts. What a low-tech guy like Jean Bisson is doing with robot parts is a mystery. I almost don't want to know. But as always, it's only a matter of time before I find out.
So they discover that Bisson is using the clockwork stomach and lungs to fuel his free and horse trains, to fuel them non-stop in order to distribute Rajan's spice far and wide. They raid each of the trains one by one, getting the clockwork lungs first of all. However, when they move to take the clockwork stomach, Neela storms in and interrupts the heist. However, Bentley stops her with his RC chopper. Okay, really? This advanced, super flying hovercraft thing is beaten by a radio-controlled helicopter. bearing in mind that most RC choppers are toys. Neela, in a super advanced hovercraft thing, is beaten by a fucking toy. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have a new Queen of Fail. Bison retreats and Neela most likely crawls back into the hole to lick her wounds like the moron she is. But as we all know, it doesn't end here.
Things just weren't right up in Canada. Random acts of violence were popping up like weeds, and the Northern Lights, well, they just weren't right. One night they'd be brighter than ever, and the next, gone. In Nunavut Bay, I overheard talk between Jean Bisson and his mysterious partner Arpeggio. Somehow, those two are behind it all. Tracking the source of the disturbance was easy. By simply following the lights, we were led north to an immense lumber camp. The sheer number of fallen trees advertised Jean Bisson's presence and that he was in possession of the clockwork talons. The Thievius Raccoonus makes numerous references to the talons slicing through plates of steel. A skilled lumberjack like Bisson could clear a forest in hours while wielding the artifacts. Those talons have got to go, both to finally do away with clockwork and to save the environment from his twisted sense of progress. The world just doesn't need to make space for another strip mall.
So the team begin plotting to beat Jean Bisson and take the clockwork talons. It turns out that Bisson holds a contest known as the Lumberjack Games, and that this year the prize is the clockwork talons. Sly and the team spend the rest of the mission rigging the games to go in their favour and preparing for when they'll take on the final member of the Claw Gang. They first drain all the energy from a Northern Light battery, which is a device designed to contain electrical energy created from an Aurora Borealis. They then steal an eagle egg to plant on Bisson during the games. So, just to remind you, we've done breaking, entering, theft, assault, wanton destruction, and now we have to add abusing endangered species to the list. Twice. Or did you forget the Panda King? So during the games, Bentley slips the egg onto Bisson during the power chopping contest to upset his swing and in turn his score. However, he bullies the judges into giving him full marks. They then attach grapple lines to him on the ice wall climb, but again, he bullies the judges into giving him perfect 10s. So during the log roll, they replace each of the judges and give Bisson 0s. Bisson, however, recognises him and knocks him out. When they come to, they discover they've locked up in Bisson's sawmill. Bentley manages to slip down and comes face to face with Bisson. He then discovers that Bisson sold all the clockwork parts and recovered so far to his cohort, Arpeggio. Bentley snaps and relays his instructions to Sly via walkie-talkie, who then activates certain devices in the mill. The combined effort slams Bisson, and the trio race to the Northern Light battery and sneak inside. So then taking aboard Arpeggio's blimp.
There we were, heading east across the Atlantic Ocean, stowaways on a giant airborne fortress. Though time was short, we made sure to study up on our unknowing host, Arpeggio. While attending a prestigious boarding school, the young Arpeggio excelled in all subjects, but he never managed to keep up with the other boys physically. Sadly, his wings, due to their small size, were useless for flight. Furious at his feeble body, he focused his powerful mind to search for a cure in the works of the Italian Renaissance masters. Their notebooks provided the springboard for this sinister young genius, and it wasn't long before the Claw Gang took him on as chief inventor. His talents must have been at work repurposing all the clockwork parts for their criminal schemes. And now this mastermind is in possession of all the parts. It's only a matter of time before he puts them back together. And when that happens, well, I'm not going to let that happen.
So Sly travels out to take some recon photos and slips up into Arpeggio's workshop, where he discovers clockwork has already been assembled. Sly drops the frame but unintentionally locks a part into place. Good going, Sly, good going. Arpeggio appears with Neela in tow and reveals that what the Claw Gang has been working for this whole time. By using Rajan's spices in the food for Dimitri's nightclub combined with the energy of the Northern Lights provided by Bisson, will trigger a psychological reaction researched by the Contessa that will result in mass hatred across Paris that will revive clockwork fully. Why did he have to do all that? Haven't they ever met a Frenchman? But Arpeggio reveals that he will merge with Clockwork's body before they revive him, finally gaining the ability of flight he has sought after his whole life. Neela, however, as we know, is just a bitch and betrays Arpeggio and takes Clockwork's body for her home, and then straight up murders him. What a charming woman! So Sly and the gang cut off the newly christened Clockler's energy by blowing up the blimp's engines before it reaches Paris. They then get some help from Carmelita, who appears in a chopper and has Sly fly shotgun. What is it with Sucker Punch and aerial battle finales? However, when Clockler is beaten, she goes off on her menstrual cycle and snatches Murray and Bentley from the hideout, and tears apart a blimp in the process. Sly leaps from bits of falling rubble and lands on Clockler's wings and beats her face in. Gee, does this look familiar in any way at all? I was probably just imagining it. However, Clockler crash lands in Paris and the team decide that enough is enough. Murray pries open her beak, Bentley plants his bombs and rips out the hate chip. However, Clockler's beak snaps down on Bentley's legs. Plot point! So Clockler explodes and the parts are scattered all over the place. Sound familiar at all? Carmelita then arrives and destroys the hate chip, which in turn destroys Clockwork forever. Carmelita then places them under arrest, but Sly offers to go peacefully if she'll let Bentley, now paralysed, and Murray, now traumatised, go free. Carmelita is cleared of all charges and takes Sly out to the police station. The two get to talking until Carmelita realises the chopper has been sabotaged. Sly flies away, and the game ends. And that's Sly 2 Band of Thieves. You know, most sequels seem to disappoint in some way, but not this game. No siree. The Sly franchise just keeps on getting better and better. Sly 2 is just fucking awesome. It takes everything that was great about the first game and makes it even better, while it takes everything that was bad about the original and makes it fucking awesome. Sucker Punch really does learn from its mistakes and corrects them as it goes along. Now let's get on to the most important factor, the dark rating. Sly 2's Band of Thieves dark rating is 79. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, if you have a suggestion, please drop it in the comment section below. But I've been Darkest101, and you've been watching Darkest101 Reviews. Thanks for watching. Good night, YouTube.